Yo, how's everyone doing? Welcome back for some more Forza Horizon 3. Today I'm sharing with you the Forzathon exclusive Porsche number 45 Flying Lizard 911 GT3 RSR. That is a very long car name, but this is another extreme track toy. So we're going to start off in the Forza Vista so you can see the car, and then we're going to move over to some circuit racing gameplay because that is exactly what extreme track toys are perfectly good for. And then we're going to end off with some free roam gameplay so I can talk a little bit more about the performance of this thing. But I have to say, man, I love those yellow tinted lights on these race cars, man. The extreme track toys, a lot of them have them, especially from that one car pack. I forget which car pack it was or what the car pack was called, but so many of the cars from that look so good just the way they have them set up. And if you put just like black paint on some of these things, they look so good. But right when you sit inside of this thing, I mean, you know that this is just a straight race car. It has no other purpose than racing. I mean, look at the interior. These cars, they just look so crazy to me, but it's funny because the people that drive these things in real life, they're probably like, yeah, this is nothing. This is very simple in here. There's not that many buttons or anything like that. But for me, man, looking at it, it's just like, what the hell is going on in here? But the performance of this thing is the main thing that I want to focus on today because it actually has a very unique performance. And I really thought that this would be a perfectly amazing car and wouldn't need any tuning, any building, or anything. But that is actually not the case. This thing only makes just about 450 horsepower, not even 350 torque, but the one thing is it is very light. It weighs less than 2,700 pounds, so this car is very light, and 61% of that weight is in the rear part of the car. So considering this thing is rear-wheel drive, that is a very good sign because that means that the grip should be very good on this car. So it's worth 550,000 credits, I believe, listed in the auto show, or in your garage I should say. So at the auction house, considering this seemed to be a car that a lot of people were interested in, it'll probably end up being a pretty expensive car, especially if not too many people get this thing through the Forzathon event that's going on as I'm making this video. But in terms of launch, this thing launches very good. First gear is actually very long for an extreme track toy, but the launch is good, the grip's good, and it accelerates pretty quickly out of first gear, and overall the gearing feels pretty good. The car accelerates fast. Now the gears are a bit short, but that's how extreme track toys are because they're focused on acceleration. Now the handling on this car is very good. It is super responsive, probably one of the most responsive cars that I've driven, but the thing is it's almost too responsive, and it feels like when you're going around sharper turns, the car just gives out a lot. The tires kind of lose a little bit of grip, and whether you're going slower in like second or third gear, or if you're going 6th gear top speed like full throttle through some high speed corners, the car can easily give out. So having throttle control is actually important, even though this car has pretty good grip, because it just has too much oversteer, and that's a very rare thing to see. You don't really see too many cars in this game with too much oversteer because most of them just can't turn good enough. They have too much understeer. So this one has the opposite problem, but the good thing is that's usually pretty easy to counter. Usually making more oversteer from a car that has a lot of understeer is the harder thing to do. So the other thing you want to really focus on is just not turning your wheel too much, because if you do that, you're going to lose speed as well. You're going to lose a little bit of grip, and this thing is just so responsive that you don't need to turn your wheel all that much. So it takes a little bit of time to get used to, just because the handling is very unique and there's just so much oversteer there. But the other thing with this car is it accelerates quick in the lower gears, but top ends, I mean, the top speed is about 180 miles per hour, which is okay, but considering we're in the middle of the S2 class, honestly the top speed isn't all that great. Now it is an extreme track toy and it is for circuit racing, so you don't need a really high top speed, but the thing is the acceleration top end is not quite good enough, so I think it needs a little bit more top speed, and therefore it should help you get a little bit more acceleration as well. So the good thing is with this car, there's plenty of room to work with, and regardless of what you want to do with it, if you want to convert it to all-wheel drive or keep it rear-wheel drive like it is stock, you can actually make this thing go perfectly to the top of the S2 class either way. So that's really nice because everyone has their own preferences with that. But I couldn't believe that I lost this race. How many people would have guessed that I was going to lose that? after leading the first 2 laps, but like I said, the acceleration top end just isn't quite good enough, and even around turns when it loses traction a little bit because of just how quick it responds, it really isn't the perfect race car like you might think that it would be. So it's definitely going to require mainly some tuning. The building is very straightforward. There's not that many options. You pretty much want to max it out and just choose whether or not you want all-wheel drive, which me personally, I like rear-wheel drive because that's what it is stock, so that's probably what I'm going to stick with, but the rest of it is going to be all about tuning. But the free roam gameplay that you're going to see here to end off this video is pretty much just me going full throttle around some of the sharpest high-speed bends in Forza Horizon 3, and this thing, you can just do it without even thinking. I mean, it's just crazy how well this car handles, and it's just effortless though. Like, you don't even really need to think, you don't even really need to look at your mini-map to see that turns are coming up. Just right when you see the turn, just start turning your wheel, and this thing will do it without even blinking. I mean, it's just crazy, honestly. Like, there's not too many cars in this game that responds like this and have this handling that this car has. But like I said, if you're going full throttle around really sharp turns, you will lose a little bit of traction, and therefore you're going to lose a little bit of speed. But this final clip you're going to see is me pretty much just going full throttle around the first section of the Goliath race. So I mean, I was impressed with how this car turns, and you could say it doesn't have that crazy top speed, but it's still very impressive to me. So this car is going to come down to the tuning. That's the main thing with this car, is can you tune it to really make it that perfect race car? Can you make it have good grip, make it faster? And I think it's definitely possible. It will be a challenge for me, just because I usually tune for sprint racing, so considering this car is going to be for circuit racing, it's going to take a little bit of time for me to probably get it perfect. But like I said, I think this car certainly has potential, so I'm going to leave you with the rest of this free roam gameplay so you can hear the acceleration sounds, and towards the end you're also going to hear the deceleration, which I think is the best sounds from this car. But last thing I do want to mention, because I'm pretty sure I forgot to, the braking is absolutely phenomenal on this car. It brakes very fast and very hard, and that is certainly not an issue. So the handling characteristics overall are good, but the car does have limits, so you can't push past them or you're certainly not going to get the best performance out of this thing, and it just doesn't have enough top end to compete with other S2 Extreme track toys. So that's one thing you gotta watch out for. But in terms of buying this car from the auction house, if you do miss it from the Forzathon event, which ends on Monday, August 21st, which is actually going on as I'm making this video, I would say get it. I mean, the car's fun to drive, it's very quick, the handling is very good, and as long as you know how to get used to it and get the feel for it, I mean, it's going to be a really cool car. And I think once it's built and properly tuned at the top of the S2 class, it'll be a very, very good circuit car. So I say go for it, as long as it's not too expensive, because they might be pretty expensive in the auction house, but we'll see what happens, I guess. But as always, thank you very much for watching. I really hope that you enjoy the rest of this gameplay. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to y'all again very soon. Peace out.
At your destination.